So, in your cryptography subject, first we are going to discuss classical encryption techniques and security attacks. So, first let us see what is there in your syllabus. So these are the 5 units which will be there in your syllabus. So in the first unit, we are going to see the introduction to your subject. Then later on, we will see some security attacks. Okay, so how many types of attacks can be there? Then how we can prevent those attacks. Apart from that, the basic terminologies of your cryptography that we are going to see. Thereafter, what are the basic classical encryption techniques, then the principles behind those techniques. Thereafter, some of the famous symmetric key cryptography techniques such as DES, acronym for Data Encryption Standard. Thereafter, one more major algorithm called as Advanced Encryption Standard, and then some of the variations of DES like double DES, triple DES. Okay, so these are the major portion of your unit number 1. So the basic introductory part will be there, and then two very famous block cipher techniques termed as DES and AES will be covered in your unit number 1. Okay, this is all about your unit number 1, and it carries a lot of important topic if you talk about all the 5 units. Then your unit number 2 is light one. In that one, we are going to see some of the key management techniques, and one of them is going to be your Diffie-Hellman key exchange technique. Apart from that, ECC, which is acronym for elliptic curve cryptography. So the architecture for that ECC will also be going to be discussed. Thereafter, some introduction to your asymmetric cryptography techniques will be discussed, and some of the asymmetric cryptography techniques such as RSA and EGMAL are going to be discussed. Okay, so this is the portion in your unit number 2. And in your unit number 3, we are going to discuss the authentication protocols. Okay, and how we can incorporate that authentication facility in a cryptography that we are going to see with the help of hash functions. So the variety of hash functions are going to be discussed. Fine. And then one specific, very specific hash function such as SHA. So SHA will be discussed. Then some other authentication protocols will be discussed. And then at the end, a digital signature standard will be discussed. So all these things will be there in your unit number 3. In your unit number 4, the authentication applications, namely Kerberos and SET, PGP, Secure, MIME, these things are going to be discussed. So this will be the portion in your unit number 4. In your unit number 5, we are going to discuss some web security concepts along with your system security concepts. So namely in web security, we are going to see SSL and TLS. Okay, so apart from that, one particular variety of these, which is SET, that too we will see. Okay, and in case of system security, the things like the intruders, viruses, firewalls, and their design principles are going to be discussed. So this is what will be there in your last unit. So in total, this is the syllabus, and the major portion will be covered in your unit number 1 and 2. So if you got the concept, if you got the basics, which will be there in your unit number 1 and 2, then you will not face any problem in the rest of the 3 units. So this is what we are going to see in this semester in cryptography subject. Now, the books which you can refer for this particular subject, these are the 3 books which are very widely used. So I would prefer, if you want to prefer some books, then you can go with the first one, Horizon 1. And then for some extended materials, you can also go with the Williams-Starling for cryptography and network security. Okay, for extra stuff, you can also go for the Atul Karte. So these are the books which you can refer for the subject. Now let us discuss, or let us see the first thing which we are going to discuss in your cryptography subject, and that is classical encryption techniques. So there can be two type of encryption
Their
techniques.
slide is not visible completely.
Okay, just hold on. Now is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if we talk about the cryptography, then all the cryptography techniques can be divided into two categories. The first one is classical encryption techniques, and the second one is modern encryption techniques. So the first we are going to see the classical encryption techniques. Okay. So what is the purpose of discussing the old techniques, old encryption techniques? So the purpose is, or the goal is, to introduce the basic concept and terminology of the encryption. Okay. So the classical encryption techniques will help us out in understanding the basic terminologies of encryption and decryption. Apart from that, the basics which were used to prepare or to create the modern encryption techniques. Okay. So these are the two basic goals of studying classical encryption techniques. So the first, we will see that the development which has been done in the earlier time. So let us see the basic terminologies, and these are the terms which very often we will be using in this subject. So the first such thing is your plain text. Okay, and this is nothing but the original message which we are going to encrypt, or you can say the original message to be encrypted, and that message is called as a plain text. Okay, so the cryptography is all about making our information secure, making our messages secure, making our communication secure. Okay, so whatever we are trying to make secure, we consider it as a message or the important data, right? So the thing or the data or the information or the communication which we want to make secure, we generally termed it as a plain text in general. Okay, so let's say you are trying to send some message to your friend and you want that nobody else should read it, right? So that message will be termed as a plain text. Okay, am I clear, students?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if we talk about the cipher text, then this is the text which will come out after the encryption. Okay, or the moment we apply all the security algorithm, then the data which will come in our hand will be termed as cipher text. Okay, so in short, you can say that it is a encrypted message. Fine. Then the process of converting plain text into cipher text is called as a enciphering or encryption algorithm. Okay, and specifically if you call what is the encryption algorithm, then you can say that the algorithm which performs encryption is called as an encryption algorithm, and it has got two input, plain text and a secret key. Okay, so let us consider one scenario. For example, we have got a person A and a person B. Fine. And a person A wants to send some message, let's say hello. Okay, to person B. Fine. So now the person A wants that this particular message has to be sent in a secure way to B so that nobody else can read it out. It may be a password, your bank password. Okay, so you want that except B, nobody else should be able to read this message. Okay, So this particular message will be termed as plain text. Fine. Now what you have done, you have applied some techniques so that this message will not look like as it was initially. Okay, so let's say you have applied some techniques, and after applying some techniques, this message will look like, let's say, okay. Now, as you can see, this is quite different from the original one, right? So if in case some other persons look into it, even that they will not able to get the original one, right? Because this is not the original one. This has been transformed, right? So this particular message is, or this particular form of the message is called as a ciphertext. Fine. Now, the process of converting plain text into ciphertext is termed as a encryption, and this process is called as a encryption algorithm. Okay, this conversion is encryption, and the process or the algorithm which has been used for this transformation is called as a encryption algorithm. Okay. Now, there can be one more process where we try to transform, or we try to get back our plain text back from the ciphertext, and that process will be called as a decryption algorithm. Okay, and that particular technique will be termed as a decryption. Okay, so over there, what will be done? We will be trying to get back our plain text back, and that is hello, right? So this particular process will be termed as decryption. Okay, and if you termed it in the terms of algorithm, then you can say that it is a decryption algorithm. Okay, so this is what is all about your plain text, ciphertext, encryption, decryption, encryption algorithm, and decryption algorithm. So I hope the things are clear. So after that, as we saw that there are two inputs for the encryption algorithm, similarly there can be two inputs for decryption algorithm as well. So for decryption, the two inputs are going to be a ciphertext and a secret key. So what this secret key is all about, we are going to see in the coming section in detail. Okay, so as of now, we just try to understand what is secret key. Then you can say that it is a key, or the same key, which is generally used for the encryption and decryption at the both the side. Okay, so how exactly we have transformed this particular message to this one? So some key has been used along with a algorithm, which we call as a encryption algorithm. Okay, and again the same algorithm has been applied with a key K. So again two inputs will be there, which the first one was plain text and the other one was your key. And for decryption algorithm, again two inputs will be there, decryption or your ciphertext and a key. So if you let us move further, there's one more thing called as a cipher, which will be very oftenly used in this subject. So cipher or cryptographic system. So if you combine both the scheme of encryption and decryption, then collectively they will be called as a cipher or a cryptographic system. Okay, so the overall system which includes the scheme of encryption and decryption, that is termed as a cipher. Okay, and cryptography is nothing but the science of studying ciphers. Okay, and on the contrary, there is one more terminology called as cryptanalysis. It is the science of studying attacks against the cryptographic systems, the possible attacks which can be there against these ciphers. Okay, so it is the science of studying those attacks. And if you combine both the things together, cryptography and cryptanalysis, then it will become cryptology, where we study both. study of ciphers and study of attacks against ciphers. Okay, so collectively these two are called as a cryptology. So I hope these basic terminologies are very much clear to all of you. Any doubt, students? Kiran Yadav? Are you there? Drishti? Nikhil?
Yes, sir. No doubt, sir.
Okay. Now, these are the types of cipher. So the ciphers uh, can be broadly categorized into two categories. The first one is symmetric cipher and the other one is asymmetric. Okay. Now, the symmetric ciphers are the ciphers where the same key is being used for the encryption and the decryption. Okay, so in the earlier example, I explained that in order to transfer our message into a encrypted one, we do use some key with that, right? So if we are using the same key for the encryption and decryption, then it is termed as a symmetric cipher. And it can be of two types. The first one is a block cipher and the other one is a stream cipher. In case of block cipher, we try to encrypt a block of plain text. Okay, so whatever data we have got, let's say we have data of 5,000 bytes. So what we do first, we convert that data into number of blocks. Okay, we divide the data into number of blocks. So let's say if the block size is 1,000 byte, then if we have got 5,000 byte, then in that case we'll be having 5 blocks. So the encryption will be performed on a block at a time, not on a byte. Okay, so if the encryption is performed on the whole block rather than a single byte, then it is called as a block cipher. Okay, so typically in ciphers we do have a block size of 64 bit, 128 bit. Nowadays we have 256 blocks, 512 blocks, 1024 bit block, 2048 bit block. So the block size has increased time by time. Okay, so the moral over here is that the encryption is being performed on a block at a time, not on a bit or a byte at a time. Okay, then stream cipher. So opposite to block cipher, in case of stream cipher, the encryption is performed on a bit or a byte at a time. Okay, or sometimes we do perform on multiple bits or a multiple bytes, but notably those things are not as significant as we have blocks in our hand. Okay, let's say if you have got a block size of 512 bits, then if in stream cipher, let's say if we are performing a encryption on 10 bits at a time, so even this one will be considered as a example of stream cipher, because this one is your 512 byte, right? So these two are considerably are on contrast side, right? So it means this one is very big in size and this one is very small in size. So in this case, this will be again will be termed as a example of stream cipher only, because at a time only 10 bits are being encrypted or decrypted. Fine. So in symmetric cipher, if you have got two party, let's say party 1 and party B, so both the parties use the same key for encryption and for decryption. That is why we call them as a symmetric cipher. In case of asymmetric cipher, the key which are being used by both the parties are different. Okay, so this is the example of symmetric one. Okay, and in case of asymmetric one, both the parties are going to use the different key. If this is K1, then B is going to use K2. Okay, so the keys are not going to be same. This is the key for encryption and this is the key for decryption. Okay, so we'll see and discuss in the coming slides as well. So as we will discuss in case of symmetric key or the conventional encryption techniques, a secret key or single key is being used. So in this case, sender and recipient share a common key. Fine. All the classical encryption algorithms were based upon this type of encryption only. Okay. The only type other than this were reported way back in 1970s. So we can say that this was the by far most widely used technique in the earlier time, right? Now, if we try to denote the process of symmetric key encryption technique, then this is how we can denote it mathematically. So, if X is the plain text, Y is the ciphertext, and K is the key, and E and D denotes the encryption and decryption algorithm respectively, then this is how you can denote the process of encryption. Okay. So here you can say the encryption process has been applied with the help of key over the text X. Okay. And for decryption, the decryption algorithm has been applied on a ciphertext Y with the help of key K, right? So this is how you get your plain text back, right? So this is your process of encryption and this is your process of decryption. And alternatively, you can also denote them like this. Okay, the meaning is same. So these are the different notations. Fine. And as we have discussed that it is understood that the algorithm which are going to be used for encryption and decryption are known to the public. The only thing which is not known to the public is the key only. Okay, so this is what is making the things secure. Fine. Now, as we have discussed already that there can be two types of cryptography techniques or the ciphers. The first one is symmetric key ciphers and the other one is asymmetric key ciphers. This is also known as secret key ciphers and this one also known as public key ciphers. Now, if we just try to visualize a model for symmetric ciphers techniques, then this is how it will be. It will look like. So if we have got plain text as an input, then some algorithms will be applied onto it. Okay, and that algorithm will be using some secret key. Okay, and that secret key will be shared among the parties, among the communicating parties. So let's say if this is the party 1 and this is the party 2, then both will be sharing the same key. Okay, so the data will be passed to some encryption algorithm and some key will be used by that algorithm and the result will be your ciphertext. Okay, so this is the ciphertext and then this ciphertext will be transferred to the other party or will be sent to the other party, and then the other party will be decrypting that message with the help of a reverse encryption algorithm, which is nothing but your decryption algorithm. And again, that decryption algorithm will take the help of this same key. Okay, and at the end it will be producing your plain text back. So this is a general model for your symmetric key ciphers. Okay, so this is another way of showing the same concept. So again, here in this case, the two parties are Alice and Bob. Alice wants to send some plain text to Bob. So some encryption algorithm has been applied with the help of a shared secret key. Then the resultant ciphertext has been sent to the Bob. Okay, the moment Bob received that ciphertext, the Bob applies a decryption algorithm with the help of the same shared secret key. Okay, and it will help Bob to get back plain text back. Okay, So this is your typical symmetric key cryptography. Fine. Now, in case of asymmetric key cryptography techniques, as we have discussed that rather than having a same secret key, we use different keys, right, for encryption and decryption. So in this case, let's say Alice wants to send some data to Bob. So first, Alice will encrypt the plain text with the help of a public key of Bob's. Okay, and Bob will be able to get the plain text back after performing the decryption with the help of Bob's private key. So what is happening over here in this case, in this particular type, a pair of keys are being used. So one key is called as a public key and the other one is called as a private key. So the private key will not going to be distributed among the people, only it will be kept by a particular user only. Okay, so the Bob is going to generate a pair of key and that pair of key is called as a public key and a private key. So as the name suggests, the private key will be kept by the Bob only, and to whomever Bob is trying to make a communication to all those person, Bob will be sending a public key. Okay, so let's say Bob is trying to make a communication with Alice and to some other users. Okay, so the Bob will send a public key. So whoever is trying to communicate with the Bob, they have to use this public key for the encryption. Okay, and if anybody encrypt their data with this public key which has been sent by Bob, then that cipher text will be decrypted by Bob only, Bob's private key only. Okay, so this is some abstract functionality of asymmetric key cryptography techniques. So in your unit number 2, we are going to discuss this particular type in detail. Okay, is there any doubt in this particular technique? Nagendra? Anukriti?
Yes, sir, no doubt.
Okay. So the differences between these two is, in case of your symmetric cryptography, only one key is used, and in case of asymmetric cryptography techniques, a pair of keys used. Okay, so you can say two different keys are being used. Then again, this is how your symmetric cryptography looks like. Okay, and this is how it can be visualized. Okay, in case of your asymmetric key cryptography. So you can see a different key is being used for encryption and decryption, while in case of symmetric key, the same keys are being used. Okay. Now, if we try to study the ciphers, then ciphers can also be categorized into two categories. The first one is substitution ciphers, and the other one is transposition ciphers. Substitution ciphers can again be categorized into two categories. The first one is monoalphabetic and the other one is polyalphabetic. Okay, so in case of monoalphabetic ciphers, only a particular alphabet is being encrypted. In case of polyalphabetic ciphers, multiple alphabets are being encrypted or decrypted at a time. Okay, so let's say if you have got a message, hello. Okay, so in case of monoalphabetic, a single alphabet is going to be encrypted at a time, and in case of polyalphabetic, multiple alphabets are going to be encrypted at a time. Okay, this is what we mean by monoalphabetic and polyalphabetic. So this is the typical example of your monoalphabetic. Okay, as you can see, each and individual alphabet, for example, L is being encrypted as O. Again, L is being encrypted as O, right? So this is a typical example of monoalphabetic. Okay. Now, in this case, again, one example is there. So I'll leave this example up to you only. But anyway, if the difference between the earlier one and this one, as you can see that this time L is being encrypted first time as N and second time it has been encrypted as Z. That means this particular alphabet is not being encrypted at a time. So we'll discuss one of the algorithms which will explain you how the multiple alphabets are going to be encrypted at a time. Now if we come to the cryptanalysis part. So the objective of cryptanalysis is to recover the plain text from the ciphertext. Okay, and more specifically, it is the process of recovering your secret key. So if we are able to recover the secret key, then we will be able to decode all the data, right? So the Kirchhoff principle says that we assume that the adversary knows all the details about a crypto system except the secret key. So if the secret key is not known to adversary, then we must assume or our crypto system must be secured against all the type of attacks. Okay. So if the key is not known to the adversary, then all the attacks must not be able to get the plain text. Okay. So there can be two types of approaches for cryptanalysis. The first one is brute force, where all the possibilities are going to be searched, and the other one is non-brute force, which is often termed as a cryptanalytic attack. So let us see what happens in this. The first one is brute force attack. So here we try each and every key to decipher the ciphertext, and on average need to try half of all the possible keys. Okay, so the time needed proportional to the size of key space. So the thing is, let's say in our banking system, the moment we enter into a ATM, then we have got 4-digit password, right? So the password or 4-digit PIN password will lie in that 4-digit combinations only, right? So how many passwords are possible, students? How many different passwords are possible? 10 to the power 4. Okay. So in case of brute force attack, one has to try each and every password. Okay, this is what we mean by the brute force, where all the possibilities are going to be searched. Okay, and if you list all the possibilities starting from 0, 0, 0, 0, okay, then let's say 0, 0, 0, 1 and up to 9, 9, 9, 9. Okay, so if you list all the possible password, then this all password will be termed as a key space. Okay, these 10 to the power 4 number of passwords will form a key space. Okay, so if one is exploring all the key space, then you can say that this is a type of brute force attack. Okay, so as we have seen in the earlier classes, for encryption we use some key, for decryption we use key, and if the key size of 4-bit, right, then these are the possible keys. So in order to crack the ciphertext, we can explore all the keys, right? We can just write a code, then let that code run. So if someone of them succeed, then we can say that we have cracked the code, right? So one such table has been given. So let's say if we have got key size of 32-bit, okay, so in that case we will be having the alternative keys 2 to the power 32. Okay, so this will leave us with these many possible number of keys in the key space. And if this is the decryption rate or the time required for one decryption per microsecond, then this much of time will be required. Okay, And suppose if we increase the decryption speed, let's say 10 to the power 6 decryption per microsecond, then this is time which will be required to explore all the keys, all these many number of keys. Okay, so we are just trying to analyze that how efficient the brute force attack can be, right? So suppose if we use key of 56 bit, then this will be the number of possible keys. In case of 128, in case of 168, these are going to be number of possible keys, or this will be your key space. Okay, and with this speed you can observe that it is taking a significant amount of time. Okay, for this speed of decryption it was taking around this much of time, and in case if you are increasing your decryption speed by this much, then it was going to take this much of time. Okay, so by analyzing this particular thing, one can say if we try to increase the key size, then there will be a larger key space. So there will be so many combinations of your key which one has to try, right? So one can say in order to make things more secure, one should try to include more number of keys, right? So that way one can secure the crypto system. Fine. So can we establish a thumb rule that the moment if we can increase the key size, then the more security can be incorporated? Students? Okay, so by looking into this table, one can say if you increase the key size, then the more security will be there, because for the decryption, because the attacker may go for the brute force attack where they will try to find out the right key, right? So if the key space is large, then the attacker has to explore all the keys. But even after increasing the key size or increasing the key space, one cannot ensure the security. So what is the reason? We are going to see that reason. So the reason is because we use our language. So our language do leave some trail behind it. Okay. So we will see what is that trail in the coming class. So today I'll end today's class here only. So if in case some of you have got any doubt, then you can ask. Any doubt, students? Others?
No, sir.
Okay.